It is the WIP Afternoon Show with Ike, Spike, and Fritz for Super Week. Each day, we will talk about a different Eagles team that went to the Super Bowl. And the first one happened in 1980, went to Super Bowl 15. And with us to talk about that season, one of the greatest players in Eagles history, one Harold Carmichael. Harold, thanks for joining us.
Hi, guys. How are you?
What's up, big dog?
Hey, what's up, big guy? How you doing?
I'm doing good, boss.
Oh, awesome, man. Thanks for having me on.
Listen, we wanted to have you on, and we're going to have Jaws on a little bit later today. That 1980s team, the first team to get the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl, obviously was a dream season, so to speak. So before we actually get up there to the game, I just want to get your thoughts on what those expectations were like for you all coming into that season in 1980. Did you guys think you had a team that was worthy enough or good enough to potentially make the Super Bowl that year?
I thought we had a great team. It's just the fact that we wasn't on all cylinders in the Super Bowl. You know, a few weeks leading up there, man, we was practicing. Everybody was hitting the right steps at the right times. The only thing we were worried about is how cold it was a few weeks before playing in the NFC Championship. But I just thought that we should have beat the Raiders again.
Yeah, because you had beaten them earlier that season. I think it was 10-7, and you guys had the number one defense in the league that year, the number 6 offense in the league that year. You know, for any team that ends up being really, really great, it seems like there is a path to get there. And what was the path like? What was the difference between the 80 season and the couple of seasons leading up to it that let you guys perform in the way that you did?
Well, you know, we had a great coaching staff, we had a great head coach, and guys putting us in the right position to make big plays. We were a close-knit team also, you know, a team that we believed in each other. And, you know, one of the things that we respected, and, you know, I wasn't worried about a lot of other people that really was mad at me. I was worried about my teammates. I didn't want to let those guys down. You know, we worked hard. Coach Vermeil worked us, and we worked very hard to be the best, and we just fell short.
Harold Carmichael with us talking about that 1980 season. You know, your career, when Jaws got there, you guys developed quite a connection there. What was that relationship between a quarterback and a wide receiver, not necessarily off the field, but on, and sort of knowing what the other one was thinking? What was that relationship with Jaws like with you?
Because we had Sid Gilman along with Coach Vermeil, we had enough time to work after practice. You know, and that's one of the things guys don't have that opportunity to work those. We was out there like 3 hours a day, but Ron and I, we worked after practice, but during practice on a lot of the plays, and I knew exactly what he was thinking. We talked about it a lot. We watched a lot of film together, and you know, the practice, the way you practice is the way you play.
Yep.
And you know, I thought we had some good practices, even though there were some tough practices, but you know, it worked out for us.
You mentioned Coach Vermeil. What was he like as a head coach? Was he tough? We see him crying all the time. You know, what was he like?
He wanted to make me cry a lot of times in practice. You know, I tell you what, one of the greatest coaches I've ever been around. A great person. I believed in what, you know, in the beginning it was kind of crazy. It was, you know, because the coaches we had, not putting down any of the coaches we had before Coach Vermeil, but we never worked as hard as we did with Coach Vermeil. You know, when he came in, he said, look at this guy, you know, young buck coming in here, working as hard like this. You couldn't unfasten your chin strap for about a week. Then you couldn't take your helmets off. It was very tough. You know, we drank water out of PVC pipes. You know, when they said we can drink. You know, nowadays you can drink whenever you want. But we have to wait for a water break. You know, but you know, he's a coach like, you know, the person I'll run through a wall for right now. He's still a part of us. the guys that's in the area, or even guys that's not in the area, if they have something that he can be a part of, he's there. You know, great man, great person, great family man. You know, one of the things I always loved about him, because when we practiced, you know, he kept us on the practice field and around training camp a lot. He would invite the wives and family to practice to let them see what we were going through, so we didn't have that problem about going cutting the yard after training camp. You know? So no, a great man, great person.
Yeah. We know y'all worked hard back in the 80s, man.
We get it.
We get it. You always want to talk about training camp.
Remember, I was there when you first got drafted.
I know it.
I know how you work.
I know. That's why I said that. So listen, the three-headed monster for you guys back then was yourself, Jaws, and Wilbert Montgomery. Talk to us a little bit about Wilbert Montgomery and what he meant that year and the year that he had as a running back.
People don't talk enough about Wilbert, one of the greatest running backs the Eagles have had, and one of the great running backs that's been in the NFL. You don't get enough people talking about him. Love playing with the guy, a quiet storm. You know, you always wanted to get on your man to block, because you know, a lot of times the play would be going on the other side of the field, and I said, I know I got to block over here because Wilbert is going to cut back. He's coming back this way, and I loved it because he would set up blocks for me to take people's heads off. So, you know, Wilbert, I mean, great running back. Great, I never knew. I knew he was smart when we played together, but the guy's unbelievable. How much knowledge he has in the game of football. I mean, right now, I think there's coaches now that call him to say, "What do you see?" You know, and he can just pull everything out. They're doing this, they're doing that, and we on one of those chat lines, and he comes through with some stuff on there a lot of times. I said, where did he get this from? Mm-hmm. He was an awesome player, an awesome person.
So during my playing years here, Harold, the most famous game that we would always be reminded of with highlights and everything else and trying to get to that point was that NFC Championship game against the Cowboys. And the Wilbert Montgomery, the big run in that game that Wilbert had against the Cowboys.
Did you see the block I played? Nobody talk about that block I made him. I missed a man almost completely.
Oh, man. But that was like the biggest game until they started winning Super Bowls, you know, beating the Cowboys in that championship game. What do you remember about that day, playing the Cowboys that day, and I guess finally getting over that hump and getting to the Super Bowls, getting that win there?
Well, I mentioned about the cold. It was cold all that week. I mean, everything in the Vet Stadium, that mice, rats, birds, cats, whatever lived in that was dead. It was so freezing cold there. There's a story I used to like talking about with Louis Giamona, but I can't say it because a lot of people think it's kind of gross, so I won't mention that. But it was so cold. It was like the day of the game. I think it was like 9 degrees, something like that, maybe colder than that. And you know, we had been in it all for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and we knew what it was about. And you looked across the field over at the Cowboys, and we said, we got these guys. Not because of the weather, but that's what they're thinking about, and we're going to kick their butts. And we just went out, and it was a great game. That was one of the games, one of the runs, what we were just talking about with Wilbert. He cut back, and I was the guy could outrun the defense back, almost outran me, but I just threw my body just to get his hands down, and Wilbert went right past him. I said, thank God. If you got tackled from my guy, I would have never heard the end of it. But, I mean, it was a great, exciting week. Fans, they loved it. We're going crazy in the stands. I mean, it was just, Philadelphia was so hot. Even though how cold it was, the the city was on fire after that game.
Yeah, Harold, I cannot imagine an NFC championship game against the Cowboys at Veterans Stadium in 9 degrees. Those must have been the most liquid, warmed-up fans in Eagles history. That for an opposing team, that had to be a terrifying place.
It was fired up, everybody. And you looked in the guys' faces when right before introduction, it was in the tunnel. You just turned around and looked at the guys, and you could see the fire in their eyes, and melting that snow and warming up that cold weather out there, just with the thoughts that they had about beating Dallas. And it was a great feeling. Everybody's fired up the whole week. I wish I could tell you that story about Luigi Amona, but I can't do that.
Now I need to know. No, okay. All right, Harold. Well, we thank you so much. This team, I'm 49, so I was live, but I didn't really get to relive it. And hearing you talk about it is really cool, really exciting. And we're looking forward to talking to Jaws in an hour as well. But we thank you so much for your time. And
thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the greats. Thank you so much, Harold.
Pro football.
God bless, man. Have a great one.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Pro Football Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
Harold Carmichael.
Absolutely.
And I waited till he got off there to say this intentionally because he gets embarrassed by it and he doesn't like me associating him with it. But the man's jersey should be retired.
It should be.
I've been saying this for years.
Yep.
It should have been retired. He's if not the best receiver in franchise history, he's arguably the best receiver in franchise history.
Certainly make the case for it.
Pro Football Hall of Famer, and 17 shouldn't be worn.
There you go, making that statement.
It shouldn't be worn, man.
Now I need to know what the gross story is.
Seriously.
Could you get that? Because he might think it's not okay for the air, but he doesn't know the show. Yeah.
Actually,
what'd you think of the D?
Okay.
Actually, he does. I've gotten text from Harold.
Okay,
like,
all right. Okay.
Yeah, but he's good.
Okay.
He listens to the show all the time. He loves it.
215. Thank you so much, Harold Carmichael.